Hello, and welcome to another episode of the F-Word podcast, where we talk about all things fraud and multifamily. I'm that Kimberly, and before we get into this and I introduce my guest that we have today, I want to let you all know that we are coming to you from YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So wherever you're watching us at, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, so that way you'll know when the next episode drops. And if you have a comment, leave the comment and we'll get back to you for sure. So that's all taken care of. And now let's jump into our conversation. Hi, Adam.
Hello.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about, give some of your background, who you are, where you're from.
Sure. My name is Adam Avalos. I'm with Olen Living. I'm the Vice President of Asset Management for our Florida portfolio. I've been in property management for 14 years now. I actually left the airline industry in 2011 and started my career in this industry as a leasing consultant in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Was that an accident?
Um,
Or did you,
a happy accident.
did you go looking for it, or did
It
somebody
came and found
recommend?
me. It came and found me. I had a friend who was a property manager, and as I was looking for a change in career, he was needing a leasing consultant who spoke Spanish. And my Spanish was a little better than nothing. So he brought me in onto his team, and property management just got into my bloodstream
And that was 14 years ago, 15 years ago?
14 years
Wow.
ago.
Wow. That's what everybody that I talk to and I've interviewed over the years, that they fall into it and they never get out of it. So you're amongst friends and family when you say that, because everybody says it. So what lessons have you learned from being in multifamily?
Well, I mean, working in multifamily has shown me what is probably true in all sectors and in life, and it's the value of communication. The on-site team, the prospects, the residents, the vendors, they all have their respective interests in the relationships that we build, and
Mhm.
ensuring that communication is timely and effective prevents misunderstandings and builds trust. I've also learned the benefits of staying prepared because in property management, 2 days are never the same. And the most unexpected thing is just around the corner. And then, of course, just as important, finding the balance between managing people's homes and managing a business.
Yeah, because it's definitely the biggest purchase that anyone makes, the second biggest purchase besides the car, right? So you have to figure out where the line and balance. What did you learn from maybe a miscommunication?
Well, one thing I remind my teams regularly is that we do this every day. But when people are moving, it's usually not just that they're moving, they're usually going through some type of life change, a new
Mm,
career, moving, getting their first apartment, getting together with their significant other, breaking up with their significant other.
yeah.
So there are so many other things that are going on in their life in addition to this monumental change.
Mhm.
And what's so important is to understand that because it's routine for us does not mean it's routine for them, and that every interaction should show the gravity of this transition in their life, and we should give it the respect that it deserves. And that level of communication is what builds trust with our prospects who turn into applicants, who turn into long-term residents.
Mhm. Trust is huge, because if they don't trust you, they're not going to stay, right?
Yeah, it's all about building relationships. And
Mm.
I was taught early on that you sell yourself first.
Mm.
Everybody's selling the same four walls, but the team is what really makes the community.
That makes a lot of sense. Selling yourself. I'm a self-proclaimed double agent, so I'm in the multifamily business and I live in apartments, but I definitely can say that I've stayed longer at a place where I enjoyed the management company and their interaction with me, because it's really not about the events. Those help, but it's definitely how the management team took care of me is what made me stay for sure.
We were fortunate enough to have had a leasing consultant at Olen Living who worked with us for 27 years, and she saw people move in, build their families, grow their families. She saw those kids move out and come
Wow.
back and get their first apartment and see Miss Renee. And I get goosebumps thinking about it. She's not with us anymore. We lost her in September, but her
Sorry.
legacy is just impressive, and
Mm.
she's an example of the impact that we have on people's lives. And I always remind our teams to keep that in mind as we interact with our prospects and residents.
Yeah, they remember. They remember who takes care of you. What do they say? You don't remember people's names, but you remember how people made you feel?
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. So tell me, is there a weird or funny fraud story that you'd like to share?
Well, we've seen quite a few of them. It's been on the rise in South Florida and probably every market with advancements in technology, and people are getting more and more creative in their rental applications. We had one instance where a gentleman came into the office and he had an earpiece in, and also like the glasses, and the it was real suspicious. This was it just didn't quite jive, and the
Mhm.
leasing agent picked up on it right away, and that's something that you can't teach. Those instincts that this leasing agent was born with led her to pick up that he had somebody in his ear asking him questions. There was this delay, and he was trying to rent an apartment for someone else under his name, and
Mm.
they were using him. I'm not sure which way the relationship was going, but it was just so odd. And come to find out, he was not looking for an apartment for himself, but he was pretending he was. And because our teams are so alert, they caught on to that pretty quick, and it didn't get very far. We've had instances where every single document that was submitted was fraudulent. The ID was doctored, the social security number wasn't theirs, the bank information
Wow.
didn't check out, none of it. And then when we called the applicant to follow up and just let them know that we weren't able to move forward with their screening, they didn't even know which property that was calling them. They had applied so many different places. They were like, let's cast the net
No.
wide. So it just goes to show how prevalent this is in our market right now, and
Hmm.
that they apply at all these communities without regard, just to see, play the numbers and see who falls for it.
Yeah, definitely like fishing.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, it's not a favorable thing, but it's definitely something that with fraudsters, they're putting out the widest net possible to
And when you're
see what they
using
can.
someone else's credit card, why not?
Yeah. Oh goodness, that is definitely something that frustrates me about fraud, especially when it's stolen identity and things of that sort.
Yeah, the headache that it causes and creates for the person whose information they've stolen is really, it's an injustice, and it's so difficult to unravel.
Yeah, I had a friend that had to go through it, and it was a nightmare for her to have to freeze her credit, question every single thing that comes in afterwards, as far as credit cards and bills. It is not something that you can easily come back from.
Mhm.
Sure. So tell me, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think I'd start with telling my younger self to learn the business side as early as possible. I
Wow.
think that understanding the business side makes everything else make more sense. So understanding the business side and finding good mentors and soaking that up is probably number one. Document everything. Documentation is like insurance. You hope you'll never need it, but you're very glad when it's there. That extra effort really, really does pay off in our industry. Being friendly, but not friends, making sure to set professional boundaries, and at the end, not to take anything personally. People are
Mm,
passionate when it comes to their homes, and rightfully so.
yeah.
So calm professionalism goes a long way to conflict resolution.
Yeah, for sure. My mom gave me that advice a long time ago. Always document everything.
Keep the receipts.
Keep the receipts.
Yes.
Yes. Fortunately, I've done that. So it definitely has come back to help me a few times in my life.
It's
Document,
worth it.
document,
It's
document.
worth it.
Yeah, for sure. So this is the part in the podcast where I get to ask you about why you love Approve Shield.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to start by saying about how grateful I am for our site teams and their commitment to the integrity of our communities. As the fraud cases became more and more prevalent in our market, our teams were scrutinizing pay stubs, doing public record searches, fervently trying to verify rental history, and in addition to the time that it consumed, it was emotionally draining. It was when an applicant slithered through and then defaulted 2 months later, our teams took it personally, and that
Hmm.
really wasn't their burden to bear. So our partnership with ApproveShield has lightened their load, given them their time back so that they can focus on conversion and retention. It brought positivity back to the office, back to the sales
Hmm.
floor. Now, ApproveShield, it's well known in fraudster communities and circles, and I'm confident that because we're promoting our relationship with ApproveShield, it's served as a deterrent to dishonest applicants. And that saves everybody time. Time is money. ApproveShield has proven to be a fantastic service, and I look forward to our continued partnership.
Awesome. Yes, I didn't realize that. I've only been here since January, so learning that our clients that actually advertise on their website that it's ApproveShield for a reason was like, wow, I cannot believe that we're so well known in both multifamily and the fraudster community,
It's a
right?
great
Like
reputation to have.
keeps people out, so they're like, oh, we're not even going to bother because we're going to get caught, which is definitely a good thing always. So why would you tell someone to use ApproveShield?
It's the first line of defense, and it helps build integrity within the community. And it keeps your sales team free to do sales, to focus on the needs of their prospects and their residents.
Yeah, so that they're not in private investigators, because that's
Exactly. That's what we
that,
have. We still have our detectives here and there who have to pick up on the things that you only see in person. And again, it fills me with pride that they're so committed to our communities.
yeah, it's like I've heard it's like having an extra employee, but not on payroll contract. So that's always a good thing, right?
Hmm.
Well, I appreciate you, Adam, so much for joining me today and sharing your thoughts. And I appreciate everyone for joining us and listening in. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and what's the other word?
Follow.
Follow. So that way, the next time we drop an episode, you'll know. And until next time, appreciate it. Thank you. Bye, Adam.
Bye.